Yes! Yes! Oh, man. It's Tuesday evening, and I have a very special treat for you today. I have UCF Jaguar joining the show.
Hey, what's going on, man? Big matchup this weekend. Jaguars trying to kind of battle for some hopefully AFC playoff seeding, and we have a chance to get a 2-game lead on the Chiefs. So I'm excited about the potential of what this game could bring to us.
Well, nobody wants to see the Jaguars have a 2-game advantage over the Chiefs. That's just bad for the NFL script and everything.
I don't know. I think 31 fan bases would like to see it.
I know every other AFC team would love to see the Chiefs start off 0-2, and it's been a real treat. I've had season tickets since '89, so seeing the Chiefs at this pinnacle is just really exciting. But hey, listen, before we go on here, I've been a huge fan of yours for a long time. I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but thanks to you, I watched you do the live stream. And by the way, if you tune in to watch me do play-by-play live, UCF Jaguars setup's better, but don't go over there. It's phenomenal. But I watched you do play-by-play and the live reaction. I was like, that looks so much fun. It looks awesome. So thanks to you, I stole your idea and I've been doing it, and it's been a lot of fun.
So. Oh yeah, I mean, you're watching the games, you might as well make some content out of it. But yeah, it's fun. It's feels like you got a little watch party going on. And honestly, when I started out doing YouTube, I just made videos, and I've turned out that, the live reactions to the games is like my favorite part about running the channel.
I really didn't think I would be any good at it. I wasn't sure anybody would want to tune in, but I've had lots of people tune in. It's been a lot of fun. Now, I'm assuming from your name that you're a Central Florida fan. And
yeah, I graduated UCF, and I started a channel a month after I graduated from UCF, so it just kind of, tied into my YouTube channel. I didn't know what the name. It's not like, oh, we'll just do this and we'll run with it.
Well, listen. So I'm not gonna ask, but you look kind of young. I've been a fan of the Jaguars since they've tuned in, or since they started their franchise in I believe it was '94. And I've been a big fan because in '96, it was actually the January of '97, they beat Denver in the playoffs, which was one of the greatest games I've ever seen of all time. I'm not sure if you go back that far or not. And then
I've watched it. I've watched it on a replay, but I was born in '90. I was born in '93, so I was learning how to walk and tie my shoes when that game was going on. But yeah, I didn't get to live through the golden era of the '90s. But I really started following in like 2005, 2006. Probably the worst time to hop on as a Jags fan. But I got to see some Freddie T, MJD. And now then I went through a dark era of what was the 2010s and the early 2020s. But I'm hoping now with new quarterback and Doug Peterson, it's time to shift this thing.
Oh God! In the '90s, I did a video, top 10 teams that never make the Super Bowl, and the '99 Jaguars made my list. I actually think that if they would have beat Tennessee, I think they would have beaten the greatest show on turf, and the NFL history would be completely different here. One pride, look. Everybody that I know is big fans of you. You love UCF, UFC Jaguars content, but I'm going with the Chiefs here. This is somebody who gave me a lot of crap. I predicted Chiefs would beat the Lions very easily, 41-23. So they are still gloating about that. And a longtime fan of the Jaguar. He has some great stuff. Denver Gator. He has some. So you get lots of love here. I do have to let you know, like, Chiefs Kingdom loves Doug Peterson. We are huge fans of Doug Peterson. We want to see him do good things, except when he plays Kansas City. Big fans here. Let me start off here. What, before the season started, were Jaguars fans' expectations of the 2023 season?
Oh man, I mean we're all about let's go to the Super Bowl, man. I mean I guess from a broad standpoint, you look at Trevor Lawrence and we want Trevor Lawrence to get into the next tier because if he's probably at a tier 3 right now, probably with guys like, Justin Herbert and like, maybe you can throw Lamar Jackson in there. And then there's a second tier with like the Josh Allens and the Joe Burrows, and then tier 1 is kind of Mahomes all by himself right now. We hope that after this year, Trevor Lawrence can do enough to where, he can be like known as the second best quarterback in the NFL. I mean, I don't think there's anything that he can do right now to surpass Mahomes, but if he were to finish the year MVP, potential Super Bowl winner, then you're sitting here saying, okay, like this guy has some hardware, he's been able to back it up. That's where he is. But I mean, right now, I think the Jaguars, went to the divisional round of the playoffs. One step further would be AFC Championship game. But Jags fans look at this team and they say, why can't we, go all the way? And at this point, last year was a success. You win the AFC South when you weren't really supposed to. You win a playoff game when you're down, 27 points, and then you made a decent playoff run. Now it's all about, okay, now time to take a step forward. That's AFC Championship, Super Bowl. And, why not us is kind of the viewpoint on us.
Well, I think that's kind of the fan expectations there in Jacksonville is, I mean, you were one of the 4 best teams in the AFC, and now you guys are thinking Super Bowl. But let me ask you this here. What are the realistic expectations? Are you guys realistically a Super Bowl caliber team?
Yeah, I mean, I'd say so. I mean, our offense is set and ready to go. We have a head coach that's won the Super Bowl. And, really, when you look at how high can Trevor Lawrence soar, I mean, Trevor Lawrence is going to be as good as any of them out in there. He doesn't have really any limitations. You bring in a true number 1 wide receiver threat with Calvin Ridley. I mean, there are some weaknesses. I mean, the offensive line didn't play very well last week. And, but a big question was like, how are we going to get any kind of pass rush? Pass rush did pretty good last week. I mean, Josh Allen got 3 sacks. Trayvon Walker got a sack himself. They were, of course, it's Anthony Richardson, so it's a different game plan over there. But, it's a week-to-week league, and, I think the Jaguars played pretty bad last week, but also won by 10 points. So I think that kind of says a lot about the team. But, yeah, we definitely have, like, this – we're not going to sit here and be like, okay, if we win the AFC South and lose first round, we're fine with it. No, we want to go all the way, man. I mean, why? It's the NFL now, man. If you got a head coach and a quarterback and a healthy roster, you can go pretty good distance.
No, I agree completely. For those of you who are not aware, who didn't watch my preview videos, I broke down every single team. I picked Trevor Lawrence to be MVP this year. He's my MVP pick. And I know it's almost blasphemous here in Kansas City. If you tell somebody Patrick Mahomes can't walk on water and throw a football through a tornado, you can pretty much, you pretty much marched out of Kansas City. But Trevor Lawrence is my MVP pick, and for a lot of those same reasons. You got Calvin Ridley. You unlocked the secret of Evan Ingram, who for years was just for whatever reason, teams just weren't using him right, especially in New York. I forget where he went to after New York. I think he went New York
straight to the Jaguars.
It was straight to the Jaguars.
Yeah.
He was just stuck in some bad offenses, and it really seemed like the last half of the season, you guys figured out how to use Evan Ingram, and then Travis Etienne, another guy very, very high on. It looks like Zay Jones was a guy I liked out of East Carolina. He had his best year, but you're right, Calvin Ridley. So my prediction was that Jacksonville would be the number 2 seed in the AFC, and the main reason is that AFC South is weak, man.
And they also play the NFC South, so it's just a really favorable schedule in that sense.
It is, and I didn't have a chance to watch Jacksonville play Indianapolis. I knew you had some offensive line issues. I know Cam Robinson's out. I actually thought that you're going to move Walker Little over to left tackle, but instead you're using okay, 9 minutes. I'm having a brain freeze on the name here.
No, right now Cam Robinson has a 4-game suspension.
Yeah.
So right now Walker Little is playing left tackle, and it's Ben Barch, who's a later round pick. He's like in his 3rd or 4th year in his career. He's playing left guard, but he's coming back from a really bad injury. So it was a really tough to go against DeForest Buckner for him because, I mean, he got injured like midway through last season, and like he just got off like the PUP list like the week before the season started. So you got to imagine there's not a whole lot of strength there, and he got kind of worked. But yeah, once Cam Robinson comes back from suspension, he will be the left tackle. Then Walker Little will move the left guard, and then the rest of the line will kind of stay the same.
Now, your first round pick out of Oklahoma, he was a guy a lot of people thought Kansas City may snag, and I'm just drawing the complete.
Yeah, Anton Harrison.
Yeah, I thought that because I saw in preseason they put Walker Little at guard and Harrison at left tackle at times. So I was kind of curious what the plan is. I think going in 2024, Harrison will be the left tackle. You may move on from Cam Robinson. That was a player I was really, really high on coming out of Alabama. So, but Harrison's not the starting right tackle.
Yeah, Harrison's the starting right tackle. And when he got signed, he was saying, okay, you're going to be the right tackle. I think because Cam Robinson's owed a lot of money next year.
Yeah.
I think they keep Walker Little at left tackle because that's pretty much what Walker Little's been doing. He's been the left tackle. And then, I think they want to have, after losing Juwan Taylor, they want that guy that, okay, you're going to be the plug and play right tackle. We don't have to worry about that position for 4 or 5 years. I think that was kind of the viewpoint from that standpoint.
Well, if I remember correctly, once Robinson was suspended, it voids the next year on his contract, which would have been his last one. So you can move on from him after this year, is the way I understood it. So it looked like what they were planning on doing. This is kind of an Andy Reid, Doug Peterson similarity, is that you want to make sure you have your offensive line kind of lined up perfectly. Let me ask you this here, because I think we're on the same page about Jacksonville. What are your expectations before the horrifying week 1 loss to the Lions? What was your expectations of the Kansas City Chiefs?
I mean, I wouldn't say it was a horrifying loss. It's just guys couldn't catch the ball. I mean, the players could catch. I mean, and that's the NFL, man. It's a week-to-week league. I mean, I expect next week, if Kadarius Toney gets 4 targets, he probably catches 3 of them. It was just a little bit fluky. I mean, until the Chiefs suck, I mean, they're going to continue to be great. You know what I mean? I mean, unless they have Patrick Mahomes and all that stuff, I mean, they're defending Super Bowl champions. I mean, right now, they're the team to beat. In the AFC, like, when you look at different teams around there, they're the team. And Jaguars know Chiefs well. We got swept by them last year. They ended our season. And, quite frankly, you probably don't know it as well as I know, but the Jaguars haven't beat the Chiefs since like 2009. And I think, gosh, I forget who the quarter. It might have been Garrard back then, but it's just been a long time. And Chiefs have been a really hard team for us to beat. So, I've always respected the Chiefs. And look, they started similar the year last year. So did the Bengals, where they didn't start off like with the hottest record, but Chiefs, when it matters, they're going to play, and they're going to do great. So, that's why this game this Sunday is going to be an interesting game, because look, this is a game that when the schedule comes out, the Jaguars circle this game. When the schedule comes out, I don't think the Chiefs do the same. I don't think the Chiefs are circling week 2 against the Jaguars, being like, okay, this is the game.
I circled it.
Yeah.
That was the game I circled. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. I don't know inside the Chiefs building how much it means to them, but I know for the Jaguars, they want that victory. That's for sure.
Well, I can tell you this, that they really don't want to lose to Doug Peterson, and they don't want to get 2 games behind Jacksonville. The reason why this game I really circled is because I really think that it's going to sound crazy maybe, but I think that this game is going to determine the AFC home field advantage, because if we get down 0-2 in Jacksonville's 2 games, plus they hold the tiebreaker, we're not going to catch you guys, because I don't see any team in that division really beating you guys or being a threat. I didn't know about you guys playing the NFC South. I did do my Jacksonville video, and I know your schedule's favorable, but I don't see us, if we lose Sunday, I don't think we can catch up. I really don't.
Yeah.
My next question was, and you kind of already answered this, but does the loss to the Lions, are you seeing maybe blood in the water? Are you seeing a weakness of the Chiefs? Did anything stand out? Does it look like, the Chiefs have hosted the AFC conference title game? at Arrowhead the last 5 years. Does it seem like that streak's over with the loss to the Lions to you? Are you sitting there, you're like, yeah, we got you?
I mean, it's funny between Jaguars fans because they're all saying, okay, do we want the Chiefs to win or lose this game? Because a lot of people fear like, oh, since the Chiefs lost, they're going to be hungry. They're going to be like pissed off. But I'm sitting here like, I don't know, man. I don't know if it's going to affect them that much. But I don't know. The main takeaway I have is how important Travis Kelce is and how much I think Travis Kelce needs to rest another week. Just make sure that make sure that knee is all healthy, rested up, so he can be really, really good to go in week 3. And I think the same for Chris Jones, man. Just get in football shape because Florida in September, it's going to beat the hell out of you, man. I can tell you that. I don't go to the Jags games in September because it's so hot, and I'm just sitting there drinking beer. But yeah, it's Travis Kelce is very important because not only is he just a good player, but I don't know, it just feels like Mahomes and him have this they have this connection in their mind where it's like they could be closing their eyes and he's going to throw it there, and Travis Kelce knows exactly what he wants to do with it. I mean, it's an unreal thing, and I know every week, when the Jags play him, okay, we have to figure out how to stop Kelce. Well, the thing is, you got to accept the fact that you can't really stop Kelce. No team does. No team goes into a game plan saying, you know what, it's going to be cool if we allow Kelce to get 100+ receiving yards and 2 touchdowns. No, it's just it's hard to beat that. But I don't see any weakness in the Chiefs. And look, when the Chiefs really want to play, they know how to play. And as long as Patrick Mahomes is a quarterback, kind of like what Joe Burrow said, like their Super Bowl window is as long as he's there. It's the same with Patrick Mahomes, where their Super Bowl window and their window of being great is when they had the best quarterback in the NFL.
Well, you also hit base on another thing, is that a lot of people that live in the Midwest are not aware that we complain about this summer was a real hot and muggy thing, but I got Denver Gator. He's down on I think he's on the Florida side of the Florida-Alabama border. Florida heat in September is not like Kansas City heat. And that was kind of the big reason why I circled that game, is because that heat is going to be a factor. I already checked the weather report. I think it's going to be relatively cool Sunday. I think there's wind, small possibility of rain, but if I'm correct, it's something like going to be like 88 or 90, which actually is not that bad. Yeah. But it's going to be a factor in the game. It's going to be something that is going to have an effect. I really would rather play Jacksonville in October or November or at Arrowhead. But that is something that is going to be a factor, because the weather is going to cause some problems for the Chiefs here.
Hey, well, the Chiefs have played in Jacksonville in week 1 like twice in the last 10 years.
Yes.
So, I mean, they're no stranger to playing against us week 1 and kicking our ass.
Well, my sister was actually at both of those games. So she goes down to Jacksonville. So my brother's okay. So I'm going to sound really, really silly here. My brother's into racing. So there's a big race down in Florida. I don't know if you're aware, or but anyway, so they go down there almost every year. So she went to
Daytona 500.
Yeah, that's it.
Of course, I know about a Daytona 500.
Okay, I know nothing about racing.
I don't either, but Daytona 5. I know like Daytona 500, Indy 500. That's about it.
Yeah, okay. So they go down there for the Daytona 500. And then my sister's like, look, you got to take me to the Chiefs game, and she said that people were awesome. The stadium's awesome. She sent me some pictures. So people were very, very nice to my sister. Very, very important. So I was always kind of like, okay, I've driven through Florida. I've never got a chance to visit.
Yeah, I've been to the Chiefs Stadium before, and
it's pretty neat.
2018, when we thought we were good. And we were 3-1, and then Bortles threw like 5 picks, and it was the beginning of our downfall.
Yeah, I actually remember that game.
I think it was like Chris Jones's like "I'm here" game. I never really heard about Chris Jones before that game, and it was like, who is this man?
Yeah, we're really happy with Chris Jones, and for those of you who are not aware, Chris Jones signed this week. It's kind of a weird 1-year deal, but he should play. I'm going to hold off because I haven't got the official word yet, but it does look like Travis Kelce is going to play as well. Key says he's like the Jags since the Fred Taylor days. I loved Fred Taylor. I loved Jimmy Smith, Mark Brunell, all those guys. Those Jags teams in the 90s, really, really, really good teams. Iowa Hawkeye, Tavion Banks. Okay. Hey, listen, just friendly reminder, CJ, GJ, Marvin Jones. Hey, Funk, I'm glad you're here, man. Jaguar, I remember watching a co-stream for the draft with the Jets YouTuber, maybe the Lawrence draft.
Yeah, I was with Jets Central. He was actually a groomsman at one of my wedding. So
oh wow,
yeah, good YouTube friends, man, turn into real life friends.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, it was funny doing a draft with him because obviously the Jets basically gave us Trevor Lawrence for free, and I think after yesterday, they're probably going back to 2020 and thinking, why did we beat the Rams? We could have had Trevor Lawrence and none of this. Like when you call about a cursed franchise, I used to think the Jaguars are cursed. No team is more cursed than the Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers will never even appear on their stat sheet as a Jet because he never even completed a pass. It's crazy.
It is really nuts. I remember when they beat the Rams, and I was just like, "Oh my god!" Because I'm a big draft guy. By the way, please, if you come draft time, let's do something together. But there was no question that in that draft there was Trevor Lawrence, and then there was everybody else.
Yeah, and now when you look back on it, it's Trevor Lawrence, and probably the gap is bigger than initially thought.
It is. I don't get a chance to watch as much college football as I like, but I did watch a national championship where he did a phenomenal job. And, reunites with his teammate in the NFL and Travis Etienne, and it's just a matter of fact, I was in the lone minority and I was dead wrong. I actually thought the Jets were going to go Justin Fields at number 2, not Zach Wilson. We'll have to find out what happens there.
Yeah, jury's still out on Justin Fields. We'll I don't watch enough to really know. I just know whenever I watch the Bears, whenever I watch Justin Fields, it's like every time it's like he drops back, then he runs it. And like me, I mean, watching quarterbacks run is fun, but I'm like, okay, how do you throw? How are you throwing from a pocket? Can you read the field? Highlight reels are fun, but I'm like, okay, how are you at the quarterback position? I think that's still a question mark for him.
It's I've always looked at running quarterbacks as they're a challenge and it's great to watch and there's fantastic highlights, but there's never been a running quarterback who's won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, they don't do it.
No, and I mean, you got to be able to throw the ball. And I know in college, Justin Fields is very much just 1-2 run. And I wondered if he would ever get out of that. And I watched a little bit of the Green Bay game. He didn't look like he's done that.
I will say if there's anybody who's broken it, like I know he didn't win a Super Bowl, but Jalen Hurts played very, very well.
Yeah. Well,
he didn't deserve. I mean, he didn't deserve to lose that Super Bowl. Of course, somebody has to win between him and Mahomes, but he played a really good game.
Here's the thing, and maybe I'm splitting hairs here, but I didn't consider Jalen Hurts a running quarterback just because I watched him at Alabama and then transform himself at Oklahoma. And he had a great job at Oklahoma. But when he entered the draft, he tightened up all of his mechanics.
Yeah, he did.
He did. It was just night and day. And because I had him as a 5th round pick.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember the combine, I was like, oh my God, because the throwing motion was tightened up. His footwork was impeccable, but he went on the whiteboard with Steve Mariucci and just diagnosed the play. And Steve Mariucci's sitting there laughing because he knows that this kid just made millions of dollars just by doing a perfect dissection on the whiteboard. It took maybe 45 seconds. I was just blown away by it. I mean, you could call Jalen Hurts a running quarterback. Maybe I'm splitting hairs. I didn't look at him that way. He's a guy that can run. There's a big difference.
Yeah, I hear you on that.
Big difference. Like John Elway could run. I didn't consider him a running quarterback. And John Elway is a player that I hate more than anything.
Well, it's also like if you have a good arm, it's like, Mahomes can run, but he's not a running quarterback.
Exactly.
He's a drop back quarterback that can run when needed. So that's kind of Jalen Hurts too. But I know in fantasy, people are like, oh, I need to get Jalen Hurts because he gets those rushing stats and he gets those rushing touchdowns.
Well, if you also remember though, Jalen Hurts got hurt late in the year last year.
Oh, that's
Josh,
true. Minshew played a couple games.
yeah, and then Josh Allen also was really banged up. I think that really affected him in the playoffs. To give him credit, he never complained about it last year when they lost to the Bengals. But I watch him, I'm like, he's just not. He doesn't look 100%, and it looks like it's something that's going to carry on this year because he got the crap beat out of him Monday night. But
yeah, Bills are a weird team because it's almost like, okay, are they losing their spark a little bit? Because I know things are getting maybe a little bit stale. I don't know. Like it's the formula is a little bit weird over there. We'll see how they. I mean, they should have beat. I mean, come on, how are you gonna lose to Zach Wilson? Week 1. I don't know. Of course, the defense is good, but I don't know. He was just kind of throwing them out there. It was a weird game.
it was a weird game, and I had a weird prediction at the beginning of the season. I did my AFC NFC breakdown, did my playoff seeding. I had the Bills actually not making the playoffs. I had them finishing third in the AFC East and not making the playoffs this year. When Brian Dable left, it looked like he took a slight step backwards. You have Leslie Frazier leaving. It seems like it doesn't seem like things are going right there. And don't get me wrong, kudos to Jets for winning, but I mean, are you really moving forward with Zach Wilson? Like,
yeah, it'll be similar to last year. I think they might start off with a good record, but at some point, if you don't have the quarterback and Zach Wilson, I think it's just going to unravel with him. He's just not a good quarterback, and he's just he really needed that red shirt year, and unfortunately, he's not going to get it. And yeah, I mean the Jets, it's an awful situation. Like literally the worst possible thing that could have happened yesterday happened. It's one thing, a torn ACL, but a torn Achilles at that age, I just man, that's not good.
And the thing is that I never thought that he was really 100%, into playing for the Jets. I thought it was more like, okay, look, I'm in New York. I'm here for some advertising. It's going to be a nice, segue into, hosting Jeopardy or whatever Aaron Rodgers wants to do. I don't think he was really committed. And now with this, and he's going to get his money. I mean, I don't think anybody would blame him if he was like, hey, look, I'm just going to go to the broadcast booth, host Jeopardy. I mean, whatever he wants to do, he could do. Denver Gator says Fred Taylor, number 5 on my Gator. Oh, I love Fred Taylor, man. I love him so much. Tavion Banks. Oh, okay. I remember him. One Pride says, I believe we shook the Hornets nest. I hope so, man. Because if we get down 0-2 and Jacksonville basically would have a 3-game lead, we're not going to catch up to Jacksonville. The AFC South. Am I being disrespectful or saying that the AFC South is not a good division?
Oh, it's awful. I mean, the second best team is the Titans, and Tannehill was a mess. I mean, the Texans, people were kind of excited about them, but they played awful against the Ravens, and the Colts are clearly a rebuilding team. So yeah, it's not a good division. I mean, I even predicted the Jaguars were to sweep the AFC South, and I was one that predicted the Jags to be the number 1 seed, not because they're the best team in the AFC, but they have by far the most favorable schedule. You're playing against 5 rookie quarterbacks, the entire AFC South. Like AFC South and NFC South comprise of 10 of your games, and of course, you got the first place schedule, and that's three of your games, but and then you had the AFC North. So, and look, I imagine between the Bills, Chiefs, and Bengals, and you can throw in the 49ers with that. I'm just hoping that you split the games, go 2-2 in those games, and you're in a pretty good spot.
Well, it's actually, what, I didn't have this on. I didn't send this to you, but I've always been kind of an old school guy when it comes to quarterbacks. And I've always believed that you should sit your quarterback for 1 year. Now, I know Trevor Lawrence didn't. And I didn't think Trevor Lawrence should sit. I thought he was the exception because I think if he came out as a true freshman, even though he needed to put on some weight, which he did, I think he came into the NFL right after that freshman year at Clemson, and he could have played in the NFL.
Yeah.
He's a guy that's ready. You tell me, though, about Anthony Richardson's a guy I think 100% needs a redshirt year. I was really expecting, your boy, Gardner Minshew. I'm kind of curious how Jaguar fans feel about Gardner Minshew. I like the dude personally. I fully expected him to be the starter. Then I heard Irsay in this offseason say, well, he needs to start. And I'm like, oh, that's a bad idea. The stat line looked very good against Jacksonville. But let me ask you this here. Should Stroud and Anthony Richardson, should they have taken a back seat, taken a red shirt year? What's your opinion about that? And I apologize, I didn't prepare you for answering that.
Oh, you're good, man. No, I can answer all these things, man. I mean, me personally, I like to play the rookie, and if you watch the Colts game, like Shane Steichen had a really, really good game plan for Anthony Richardson because they didn't throw him. It wasn't like throwing out to the wolves, open up the whole entire playbook. The whole entire field is yours. It was a lot of RPOs, short passes, like wide receiver screens, some design quarterback runs, slant routes. Like there wasn't they didn't give Anthony Richardson a whole lot to do, and it made him play pretty efficient. And then later on in the game, though, when they were down, 3 points in the fourth quarter, when they were down 10 points in the fourth quarter, when Anthony Richardson did have to scan the field and throw, he was pretty awful. Like when he was forced to throw between the zones, when he was forced to read the field, make progressions, he wasn't that good. But for 3 quarters, when the game was kind of in control, when they didn't have to play like desperation ball, they had a really good game plan for him. Now, that can't be said for all quarterbacks out there. Like Shane Steichen, he was Jalen Hurts' quarterback coach. Yeah. He's an offensive guy. But, when you look around the league and, when you have like Sam Darnold, his rookie year with – actually, he didn't have him. Like, say if Sam Darnold would be paired up like Adam Gase's rookie year. Or you even look at Trevor Lawrence with like Urban Meyer. It's like there are situations where – just the situation itself is a complete train wreck, and it does maybe more harm than good. Now, luckily, Trevor Lawrence is a confident guy. He doesn't get rattled very easy, so Urban Meyer didn't break him. But it's really all about the situation, man. And I think if your organization puts your quarterback in a good spot around good coaching staff, then it shouldn't be an issue. In my opinion,
you're 100% correct. It's different with the quarterback position than any other position. You got to be put in a position to succeed. I remember when Sam Darnold was drafted, it was with Todd Bowles.
Yeah, it was with Todd Bowles.
That is not an offensive dude. And I knew right then, I said, well, Bowles is going to get fired and Darnold may not ever recover. And he's on team number 4 in the last, or team number 3 in the last 4 years.
Number 3.
He was a guy coming out of college I just absolutely loved. I loved Sam Darnold, but the Jet situation was just so god awful.
I wasn't a huge fan of him because his throwing motion, everything reminded me so much of Blake Bortles. And I'm like, I don't know about this, man. I mean, nowadays, man, like if you don't have good mechanics, like there's a very, very low, like especially like a lot of these quarterbacks. I don't understand how like it's like what's that guy's name? I can't think of it at the top of my head. It was like Drew Lock. Drew Lock, for the life of him, just couldn't set his feet. I'm like, dude, just like set your feet and throw it. He just like, and like something like that's the thing. Like
Drew Lock's my boy. We went to the same high school, slightly different years. So I
Lock did.
Yeah.
You probably know a lot about him. It's like with him, Carson Wentz has the same thing where it's like, why can't these guys just set their feet and have a nice clean throw? I don't know. Just sometimes
it has a lot to do with coaching, and it has a lot to do with the situation that you're put in. And I thought that was really interesting that what you said. I was kind of curious if the Colts were going to do that, just run out a college offense for Anthony Richardson and then implement a pro game week by week, like, hey, we'll have 10% next week, maybe 15. And by the end of the season, maybe it can be half RPO, half zone read, or whatever you call it. Did Jacksonville have problems preparing for the offense, or is he just that good of an athlete? Or
no, he was fine. I mean, they had their wins. They have a experienced offensive line. Anthony Richardson can run the ball well. I will say that they had Jonathan Taylor would have been a lot tougher of a game because Deion Jackson didn't get anything yardage wise. Anthony Richardson, I believe, was their leading rusher. So, but I mean, it's the NFL, man. Like, there's very few blowouts. Sometimes these teams kind of hang around, and those guys get paid too. So, But also some of their points was, one, I don't know if you saw the turnover that they had where Trevor got strip sacked and then, the running backs is standing there holding the ball and then the Colts swiped it from them and got a touchdown. It was like a free 7 points to the Colts. And, really it was just such a swing of points there. But it's week one, everything's weird. The game was closer than the scoreboard was pretty close and obviously didn't wind up being very close. But if you're watching live, it's like, oh, there's a 4-point game. Now the Jags are losing by 3. It was never really like that. The defense really did control the game very well. And the offense just, I don't know, the Doug Peterson shifted over his play calling duties to Press Taylor. And just
I saw your video about that.
The play calling was just weird. Like we went out there to be like run, punt, or pass, punt. It's like not enough of true balance where, if you get a 50-50 split, it doesn't come from like doing 5 pass plays in a row, 5 run plays in a row, 5, you know what I mean? It was just weird, but week one kinks, I think it'll be fine.
Yeah, well, it's kind of funny that you say that because Kansas City kind of got into that Andy Reid love affair with the trick plays, gadget plays, and loving to pass. And there were several occasions where it looked like we should have just been running the ball, and Andy Reid wanted to get cute. And when it works, he's a genius, but when he doesn't, you have people like myself like, come on, Andy, let's just run the ball. I'm glad Keys brought up this point. He says this is a really good comment. This is something that he told me last week, is that I think this game will be interesting because I think that both Andy Reid and Doug Peterson held back in week one because they are both kind of looking ahead to week 2. Now, I understand maybe the Chiefs were looking forward to week 2. The Colts have had some success against Jacksonville over the years, so I have a hard time believing that. But you tell us here as Chiefs fans, like, or you think that's true? Do you think Doug Peterson's holding a play or two in his hip pocket that he didn't want to reveal against the Colts, or reveal playing the Colts to hold back for Kansas City week 2?
Yeah, people were asking me this on like my own channel, and it's hard to really tell. I mean, there are certain plays like when you watch the Jaguars against the Chargers in the playoffs, like there was that 4th and 2 play call. It's like, what are they going to do here? They pulled out a play that they have never ran this year, where it was like they lined up, looked like it was going to be quarterback sneak that wound up being a reverse to ETN. So, I mean, the playbook is probably just so big, especially now with like being year 2 in this system. There's probably all kinds of plays. I mean, they might go out there. When the Jaguars played the Chiefs last year, I think they opened the game with like an onside kick, in the regular season. And, I imagine there might be some special plays specifically for, the Chiefs. And it'll be, I will say I'm not a huge trick play guy. I'm just especially because I'm a UCF fan. And man, UCF was running all these trick plays against like Boise State. I'm like, what are we doing? Just play football. I don't know. I don't mind a trick play here or there, but I don't know when it comes to holding back. I'm not sure how much of that really goes on, but I'm definitely excited to see what happens.
Well, it's kind of funny that you say that because a lot of that happened when Doug Peterson was in Kansas City, and that's an Andy Reid staple. Is that the Kansas City Chiefs, I think, probably have the most complex playbook in the NFL. If you had to say, give me team number 2, I would probably tell you Jacksonville. Doug Peterson. It looks like a lot of what they did offensively last year. And I don't know what's going on with Press Taylor, so I think that's kind of interesting that Press Taylor's play calling was a little stagnant and not as creative. I thought that was kind of interesting that you pointed that out. Who had a worse performance week 1, Josh Allen or Joe Burrow? Oh God, that's a great question. UCF Jaguar, man. I'll let you go first on this one.
I mean, I watched Josh Allen. Didn't really see much of Joe Burrow, but I don't know. Probably, yikes! I don't know. They both were awful. I mean, you would say probably Josh Allen played better, but he threw all these interceptions. I don't know how many picks Joe Burrow threw, but did he throw any picks, or was it just like 80 something
picks? It was.
Yeah. So that's the thing. Are you a fan of like little turnovers but little yardage, or high yardage and high turnovers? That's I don't know. It's you could flip a coin on that one.
I watched both games. in detail. What happened this Sunday, I went over to my dad's house, and then when I came home, I turned on the red zone, tried to watch as much as I could to get caught up. But I watched both Burrow and Allen. And I'm going to tell you it was Allen because I don't like blaming the weather, but the weather was really shitty. Cleveland was able to stop the run. Cincinnati, for whatever reason, could not stop the Cincinnati running game. Cleveland had about 200 yards rushing, and Burrow was just put in a bad situation. And they commented about it too, like he wore a glove and he didn't wear a glove, and he kept on rotating. It's a horrible excuse because you play in the Midwest for that weather affect you in September.
And he grew up there too, so
yeah, exactly. It's a horrible excuse, but it just seemed like different circumstances. I'm going to tell you Josh Allen, but UCF Jaguars, right? And by the way, another thing, I would love to talk to you. I'm not a college football expert. I'd love to talk to you. We'll have to do it some other time about UCF joining the Big 12. That is just kind of strange in its own little thing. It's not nice to talk bad about your daddy. Yeah, as far as sports hatred's concerned, there's nobody I hate more than John Elway ever of all time. Josh Allen, worst by far. Yeah, I agree there. And Hatter's House 710 says go Lions. Gino has a few more games like week 1. Drew Lock will come in. It's funny because I really thought Drew Lock, I'll go back. Drew Lock should have got the start in Denver when they had Teddy Bridgewater. There's a good chance that Vic Fangio is still the head coach in Denver if you want Drew Lock over Teddy Bridgewater, but that's another topic for another day. And I'm saying they both hold back in this matchup for a playoff matchup. I'll be honest with you. I hope the Chiefs don't, because the Jaguars' schedule is so favorable. If we get down by 3 games, we're not going to catch up. It's going to be impossible. I predicted that it's just a matter of time before the AFC South will have 3 rookie quarterbacks. I think Will Levis will get to start sometime in Tennessee. It's just a matter of time. So I really hope they don't. But I honestly, you know what? That's a good segue here into my next question is UCF Jaguar. How do you view the Chiefs-Jaguars matchup this week?
Oh man, this is I wonder how, because I haven't been that tuned in nationally. I wonder how nationally excited people are about this. Right before I went on with you, I did like kind of a review around the NFL about different like power rankings and where the Jaguars are around the league. And right now they're being viewed as like the eighth or ninth best team in the NFL, which is like, I thought they'd be a little bit higher. So
I would have put them higher. I saw San Francisco as number 1. I'm like,
yeah. So people were kind of viewing us kind of as that like either wild card exit or like early divisional round exit. So I don't know how excited people are nationally for this game, but man, I think it's going to be an awesome game. I mean, this is, probably one of the better games of the weekend, and it could be an AFC title game or something preview. I mean, these two teams could probably be battling it out, not only for playoff seeding, but might see each other again. And I'm just hoping that this game is super important for the Jaguars because they have to get over the Kansas City hump, man. I mean, they just get worked by Kansas City every time they played the last decade and a half. So, I think it's a really important game for Jacksonville to be able to say, okay, we can beat the Chiefs. We can beat Mahomes. We're fine at this, because 2 of the biggest losses for the Jaguars last year, they had 2 double-digit losses. One was to the Chiefs in the regular season. The other one was to the Lions. And then the other biggest one was against the Chiefs in the playoffs. So, there's matchup issues there. We just got to see. This would be a good measuring stick game to say, okay, did the Jaguars get any better? Or if we lose by 10, are we the same old Jags? We'll just have to see.
I agree with you. When I'm not a big fan of the power rankings at all, but I would have put Jacksonville a lot higher, just because I know that Indianapolis has been one of those teams that have traditionally had a lot of success against Jacksonville.
Well, in a lot of the power rankings I was looking, and I think a lot of them, they don't want to move it around too much. Like a lot of them, the Bengals and Bills were ahead of the Jaguars. So it's like, how much of these power rankings, or are they more so like preseason rankings where like we'll move a team up or down a spot? But if they're true power rankings, I mean, the Bengals should be like number 10 right now after their performance. That was awful.
No, I agree with you. I mean, when this schedule came out, I circled this game. This was the game I was looking at because you have number one, you have the team. If anybody's going to win the AFC South, it's no question it's going to be Jacksonville. Yes, the Chiefs are 0-1, but who's going to be favored to win the AFC West? The AFC North and the AFC East. All four of those teams in the division can make an argument.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just going to be tough. So who's going to win the two divisions? Who definitely is going to win these two divisions? It's going to be Kansas City. It's going to be Jacksonville. That's why I got them 1 and 2. So when this schedule came out, you have a rematch of the playoffs. Doug Peterson spent a lot of time with Andy Reid and in Kansas City. And I mean, how is this not a bigger game? And I didn't really get that. Hopefully this doesn't come across like I'm disrespecting the Jags, but last year I felt like the big three in the AFC was Kansas City, Buffalo, and Cincinnati. I really think that those three teams all took a minor step backwards. Mm-hmm. Jacksonville took a big step forward.
Yeah.
All right. You got rookie players. I had a major man crush on Devin Lloyd. I can't pronounce his name, but it's a guy everybody should be head over heels in love with. Boysoon.
Oh yeah, Wilkin.
Yeah, I'm terrible with names. How people don't realize this is maybe the best linebacker in football. I mean, what do you need to do? He leads the NFL in tackles, plays the pass, does everything. Love this guy. Josh Allen's a guy. When he came out of Kentucky, I had a major man crush on this guy. This is a team in the offseason that got better. I think Kansas City, Jacksonville, and Buffalo all took a step backwards.
Mm-hmm.
So this is why when I looked at this game, it's man, I got to go down to Florida in September. This sucks. Like if you haven't been down there, it's not like September weather in Kansas City. It's not fall down there. It is hot. It is muggy. It is a problem. And you're going against a team that if this team gets to a 3, we're not coming back. I think this is a much bigger game for Kansas City than it is for Jacksonville because Jacksonville can lose this game and they can still make up for it throughout the season. I don't think Kansas City can. Keys has a fantastic question here. How big of a matchup do you think Taylor versus by the way, Steve Spagnuolo is the Chiefs defensive coordinator, will be if Doug is really letting him call the plays?
Yeah, I mean, golly, we have a whole new play call guy. I mean, I don't know if because Doug Peterson said, oh, well, last year Press Taylor called all the plays in the second half of every game. And I'm kind of like, I don't know if I believe that. It kind of would have been a bigger story, but I don't know. I mean, I firmly believe, and this is like tinfoil hat guy, like when the Jaguars were down 3 or 4 in the last game, once they got the ball back, everything changed play call wise. And I have a feeling that Doug Peterson took it back over and led the team to two touchdowns in a row because it just felt different. But with Press Taylor, I think the big thing there is like the Ravens called the Jaguars because they wanted to interview Press Taylor for their offensive coordinator spot, and Doug Peterson blocked it. And I believe a little bit of that is okay. Like if you go to the Ravens, John Harbaugh is a special teams guy. He would have been the offense. Press Taylor. So I think it was a situation like, okay, you're not really going to grow as much over here if you're staying in your same role. I'm going to hook you up. You're going to be able to be, the play caller over here, and that'll probably springboard you into a head coaching job. Because if we're being real, Press Taylor, is Zach Taylor's little brother. He's like the mold of what every team is looking for right now when it comes to like their new head coach guy. They want a young, offensive-minded coach, and that's what he is. So, yeah, when it comes to him versus Spagnuolo, I mean, I imagine, they've scouted the Chiefs a bunch. And, look, hopefully we're ready to go. I'll just say that.
Well, I'll tell you what, Keys kind of stole my thunder here. It sounds like Chiefs fans and Eric Bieniemy versus Andy Reid. Because that went on for the longest time. Eric Bieniemy was the offensive coordinator in Kansas City. He kept on going to head coaching interviews, but he never got hired. And a lot of people feel like that that was the reason, is because everybody thought that, well, yeah, we know you're the offensive coordinator, but Andy Reid's really calling the plays here. And if the offense goes stagnant, then a lot of people feel like Andy Reid's like, okay, I'm going to just take over, Eric. Just sit there and yell at Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes, but don't get involved too much. Yeah, I'm gonna take over from here. Go Chiefs says Jags look to be a stronger team than the Lions. I picked the Chiefs to win 41-23 week 1. I didn't think we would struggle against the Detroit, so I look really silly. But on paper, absolutely. Detroit was a team that didn't go to the playoffs. Not only did Jacksonville win a playoff game, they spotted the Chargers 27 points. If I'm correct, third highest comeback of all time.
Yeah, something crazy like that. And it was the first time a team ever came back without getting a turnover. The Jaguars never forced any turnovers that game.
I remember Lawrence threw 3 interceptions in the first half.
4 interceptions.
Is it 4? Okay, he threw 3 to Asante Samuel Jr.
Yeah, I think so.
And I remember, like, Lawrence did not look phased at all. I was so impressed by his composure. I remember they scored right before halftime, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah, I brought the score to 20-7. I was like, "Okay, 20 points ain't too bad," you know.
No, it wasn't. And even though the Chiefs and the Chargers have had close games in the past, I would have rather seen the Chargers than Jaguars in the playoffs.
Yeah,
that was just my feeling, because I didn't really have a lot of faith in.
Yeah, it was funny last year because the Jags swept the Chargers, played them twice, and they got swept by the Chiefs. So it's like, you know, something about the Chargers matchup for whatever reason is good for the Jaguars.
Now, keep in mind the Chargers are one of the few AFC West teams that have beaten Kansas City, but I mean, talent-wise, they're as good as anybody in football. I think their coach is he's just not cut out to be a coach, and it's one of the things where NFL teams are wanting offensive-minded coaches. The Chargers took a defensive-minded guy.
Oh, and I don't know if you watched the Chargers game. He kind of lost that game.
Yeah,
I mean, I shouldn't say lost, but I don't know if you watched the end of the first half where like he called or was the end of that game? Well, he called a timeout way too early to set up for the Chargers to kick like a field goal with I think 12 seconds left, and they gave Miami the ball back, and they were able to get it was at the end of the half.
Yeah,
they were able to springboard that into 3 points. So it's like it was just bad coaching, and even Herbert slid knowing that okay, we'll run the clock and call timeout, and then Staley called timeout immediately, and it was this terrible clock management.
It was that's kind of a Staley special. I mean, it's just they got it's funny because, to be honest with you, the Chargers and the Broncos should switch coaches. If Sean Payton took over and had Justin Herbert, there's no limits to what the Chargers could do. And if you took Staley on a team that should run the ball and play really good defense, it would be so much better. But
yeah, there's a cheap organization, man. They don't want to pay for a premium head coach, so you get Brandon Staley.
That's exactly what it is. Because I mean, I'm telling you right now, Justin Herbert is world class. He's as good as it gets. He's almost at Mahomes. I say almost. I know I sound like an egotistical guy. Now, keep in mind, I'm calling Trevor Lawrence MVP, so I'm not giving.
Oh, man, I know. Look, right now, Mahomes is in a tier all by himself. I mean, so
I think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm a little biased, but I'm also one of the few people that, and I'm glad you do draft stuff. Hopefully we can get together and do some draft stuff. I was not a fan of Mahomes coming out of Texas Tech. I didn't like his mechanics. I didn't like the gunslinger attitude. I didn't think it would work. And then, well, he proved me wrong. So
yeah, it was crazy because I had a buddy who he's not even that much of a draft guy, but he was kind of watching stuff, and he told me, he's like, yo, this Patrick Mahomes guy, he's the best college quarterback I've ever watched tape on.
Really?
I'm just like, okay, I don't know. I mean, whatever. And then he turns out to be Patrick Mahomes, and it's kind of crazy because it's because he said when he was falling, he was like, there has to be something because I'm no draft expert, but there has to be something that I'm missing here.
You know who I liked in that draft, who I was really high on, and I
Was it
shouldn't even.
Trubisky?
It was I really liked Trubisky. I really liked Trubisky. I really liked that kid.
Then you had 3 choices and you got them wrong.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah. So, but I'm happy with Mahomes. We're okay with him.
Yeah, I think you did better without Trubisky. You can probably get Trubisky right now. He's probably on the street, right?
You know, I have no idea what team he's on. I actually thought for a while he might turn things around in Pittsburgh, and I watched him. And I'm like, no, he just doesn't have it. And,
Yeah, it's amazing how the wheels just fall off. It's just like, okay, this is what he is. He's just a bad quarterback.
That's what some guys are. Some guys just can't play in the NFL, and
Yeah.
I mean, I can't. So
well, it's like Marcus Mariota. I thought he was actually pretty good for a while. I thought he was going to be a good quarterback, and then all of a sudden he gets let go from the Titans, and he's just not a good quarterback.
You know, that's one guy I didn't think that would succeed, and he was so much fun to watch in college. But he looked like he relied way too much on his legs, because this is a guy, Marcus Mariota, about 40, 50 years ago. NFL teams would have told him, "Hey, look, you can play wide receiver, you can play strong safety." It's funny, Scott Frost, the former coach of UCF. That's what happened to him coming out of college. He was a pretty good college quarterback, but he was a running quarterback at Nebraska. And they're like, look, you can play in the NFL, but you can play wide receiver, you can play safety. And I think he played safety for about 10 years. Great coach at UCF. Didn't work out at Nebraska, but
yeah, we got all the good out of him.
Yeah, you pretty much did. I really wanted him to stay there because I thought that was really cool.
I don't know if Matt Rule can't fix Nebraska, I don't know if anybody can at this point.
I don't think it's fixable in Nebraska. I really don't. And like, it's funny, we could talk about Chiefs fans, we could talk about Jaguars fans, but like, just trust me that those people in Nebraska, those people are nuts.
No, it stinks because they have a lot of football passion over there.
Oh,
they
yeah,
don't have an NFL
crazy.
Team.
But
they're in a situation where with the NIL world, they're not in a good spot.
Like, no, they're really not. I don't know if you've ever been. I don't know how much you've traveled around, but Nebraska is.
I've done some traveling. I haven't been to Nebraska though.
You're missing.
That's not a place my wife really wants to go.
I've driven by Husker Stadium, and it literally is in the middle of nowhere. It is like, it's just like a desert of corn. That's all it is. And in order to win at Nebraska, you got so when all the Big 12 teams got to recruit from Texas. That's the key. So when they went to the Big 10, you lost any chance you have of getting those top tier Texas guys, because you can't convince those guys, hey, guess what? You can come up in the middle of nowhere, play in the snow, and then late in the season you get to play against Michigan State or some shit. You can't. It was a disaster. And I heard rumors that they're trying to get out of the Big 10, which is now 27 teams.
Well, where are they going to go? They're in a best.
The rumor is they want to come back to. I don't even know what the names are anymore. They want to come back to the Big 12. Yeah. That was the rumor I heard, but I don't think it's possible. But
I mean, I guess if they want to be around Texas, then I don't know.
I have no idea.
Now it's looking like the 2 power conferences is going to be the SEC and the Big 10.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I guess follow the money is what I think.
Yeah, I mean, well, that's why they left in the first place, was they make all that money. But how happy can you be when you go 5-7 each year? I mean,
when you can't reach a bowl game. Yeah, no, it's a sad state over there, and that's why right now, when in the world of NIL, where UCF is right now, it's like you're in Orlando, in Florida, like there could be some real potential.
I think so. I definitely think so, and you get to play big time football. For those of you that don't know, Florida, Georgia, it's not Texas, but that's like the second best recruiting. Well, maybe third behind California. It's
like Florida, Texas, and California.
There's
but there's a lot of talent in Florida.
Oh God, I don't know what you guys put in the water there in Florida. Like, everybody runs a 4.2 coming out of Florida. I don't know what it is.
No, there's a reason why I didn't play high school football. It's because like my school was just like a powerhouse, and I'm like, okay, I'm like 165 pounds. I'm playing lacrosse. But I mean, with UCF at the state right now, it's a fun position to be in. and I'm interested to see how they. And it's funny with my way for UCF because like I grew up a big Florida fan. When I got into UCF, it was 2012, and they were Conference USA, and I was like, okay, I'm at UCF, but I'm a Gator fan. But then my second year, we go to the AAC, we go like 12-1, win the Fiesta Bowl, and the quarterback is drafted to the Jaguars. I'm like, oh,
I remember that.
This is kind of keep And then all of a sudden, we just kept winning, and then we went undefeated, and then like we jumped to the Big 12, and I'm like, dude, this is like in a span of 10 years. That's what's cool about this is like if my friends get into Florida, they're going to a program where like they have a long history of being great. But with me with UCF, as I came in while they were young and I've seen them grow up. So it's really cool just seeing it before my eyes like that.
This is way before your time, believe it or not. University of Miami was a terrible football school. And then in the late 70s, Howard Schellenberger came from the NFL I have no idea why he had an association, but he's the one who turned it around. But they had the same Miami wasn't a football powerhouse like USC or Texas or Michigan. It just literally came out of nowhere. And I kind of see like the same thing for Central Florida. At least I thought it was with Scott Frost. I kind of want to see what happens with them in the Big 12. It's going to be interesting. One thing Keith says, I think KC has enough players from the South that might be an advantage, sure, but not that big. I don't know. It's just different when you're not there all the time. It's just early September games. All those Florida teams have have a really big home field advantage. That's why I really circled this game, because I really thought out of all the games, I believe the Chiefs were most likely to lose. It's this one.
Yeah, and also I know he says a lot of players are from the South, but the thing is, like, you have to be conditioned to it. Like, you can't just be like someone that, oh, I was raised in Florida, but I've been up in Kansas City for the last 6 months. When you come back down, you're not conditioned to it.
No.
You know what I mean? Like, you have to, and it's different. Like, people say, oh, well, it's hot up here. It's hot over here, and in California in the summer. But it's like, if you haven't been around the humidity, like I remember just a month ago when we went to Toronto. And then like coming back and like being at the airport and the doors opening, it's like the rush of humidity.
Oh, yeah.
If you're not, I guess I lived in Florida my whole life, so all I know is humidity. But if you don't know humidity, it's different.
It really is. If you're not used to it, it's just a different beast. I remember the first time I went to Florida, I used to drive over the road, and I had a trip from Green Bay in April. So Green Bay, it's like 40 degrees outside. So I had like a sweatshirt, jeans, some work boots, and I just drove all the way down to Florida. And I was thinking, April, it's probably kind of cool outside. And I opened up my truck, and it was just boom. I had to just close the door, crank it up, turn on the air, just turn.
Yeah. No, yeah.
It was like 85. I was like, what the hell is this shit? I mean,
no, yeah, it hits
literally
you.
15 hours ago, it was 40 degrees. I was freezing. And I was like, oh, I was expecting it. If you're not used to it, it just hits you. And I think it's a huge advantage. I really do. One Pride 40 says Trevor Lawrence, top 5 quarterback. I think so too. I really do. I don't have them all listed in front of me, but I would take Lawrence over Josh Allen. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, and that's the big thing right now is like what we want at the end of the year is like right now there's a debate. Is Trevor Lawrence a top 5 quarterback? We want at the end of the season that to not be a discussion point. Like no one debates if Mahomes is a top 5 quarterback. Everyone just knows that for a fact. Now, we want Trevor Lawrence to be like when they're listing off quarterbacks, you say, Mahomes, Trevor Lawrence, this guy, then you're starting to debate 4 through 7. That's where we want to be.
And I think you're there, but I might be in a lone minority. I mean, there's kind of a debate. I think most people would have it Mahomes, Burrow, and then number 3 could be a variety of different things. I've always been higher on Justin Herbert. I think the biggest problem with Justin Herbert's just the coaching.
Yeah, the coaching.
Yeah, exactly.
And he gets too much slack for the coaching, man, because he's a good quarterback. I mean, I know a lot of people don't like him, I think, because of like, I guess they didn't like a lot of the hype around him, which I don't know. I like these big, strong gunslinger quarterbacks, and I think he looks cool in the Chargers uniform. I like him for the most part, but yeah.
I'm a big Herbert fan. I was a huge fan of him coming out of Oregon, and it's kind of funny because I remember Miami had that tank for Tua, and I don't care. I know they just beat the Chargers, but if you could ask people inside that organization, hey, would you rather have Tua or you would rather have Herbert, and they would take Herbert. One Pride 40 has an interesting take here. I believe we shook the Hornets' nest and the Chiefs beat the Jags. Could be wrong, though. I did not know Michigan State's head coach got fired.
Yeah, Mel Tucker got fired for the
wow
stuff.
Oh, I didn't hear about that. So I know Pat Fitzgerald from Northwestern got fired. I don't know if you heard about that story. They're doing some weird shit there.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't even know if I want to talk about it on YouTube, but some of the stuff I heard about, but it was some really weird shit.
So do you want to do some game predictions? And then I do have to go here shortly.
All right, so I do want to do some game predictions here.
So do you know what the spread's at right now?
I checked on BetUS,
okay.
And it's right now the Chiefs are a 3-point favorite with the over-under at 51. Now, here's the thing. When I went on there last, it was earlier today, there were no player prop bets. So here's what I was hoping you could do here, because I know you got to get out here. For those of you that don't know, UCF Jaguar said he had a big cocaine party he had to go attend. So,
everyone's invited.
Yeah, I'd be down in Florida. Denver Gators close by, so he may attend. So I know you got to get out of here.
He brings the cocaine, I'll bring the party. How about that?
All right, there you go. It's why am I 1,500 miles away, man? I mean, there's nothing fun around here. Let me ask you this here. I do want a prediction. If you have any, which are not available, prop bets, player prop bets, anything like that, and give me your score prediction before you leave.
Yeah, I know. I usually do because I have a couple sponsorships. I have BetUS and I have Underdog, and Underdog does a lot of the player prop bets, which is really fun to do. Last week I had 3 different submissions, 2 Jaguars, 1 Colt. I went higher on Calvin Ridley, Trevor Lawrence hit those, and I went higher on receiving yards for like Alec Pierce. It was like I think 30 yards, and I was like, you know what? Play slot. Anthony Richardson's going to give him the ball, but he got like 6 yards, so I didn't hit on that one. But yeah, for this one, man, 3 points is I don't think the Jaguars win, but I do think that they cover. I think that they only lose by like 1 point, probably by a score of like, golly, I would say probably 28-27 is what I'd say. I until the Jaguars can beat the Chiefs, I just can't predict us to beat the Chiefs. And the thing is, we talk about weather. I mean, the Chiefs have beat the Jaguars week 1 twice. And in front of me, I've been to both games in week 1 where, the Chiefs would play the Jaguars and heat wasn't an issue, and they went out there and smoked us. Now, those were, Doug Marrone and Gus Bradley coach teams. So maybe, a Doug Marrone and Trevor Lawrence combo is a little bit different. But this will be a huge game for the Jaguars, man. I know that the Jaguars really want this. I know you circle it and stuff like that, but I really wonder the Chiefs player, what does Patrick Mahomes think about the game? What does, I don't know, Travis Kelce, how does he feel about the matchup? Do the Chiefs respect the Jaguars like they would if they played against the Chargers, the Bills, or the Bengals? I don't know. But yeah, I say the Jaguars lose but do cover. They lose 28-27.
All right. And by the way, on the description below is UCF Jaguars YouTube channel. If you aren't subscribed, you're crazy. He has some really great content. Both of us are going to be live for the Chief Jaguars game. So, but tune in and watch me. Actually, his setup's better. I actually love how he has the graphics set up, but I'll get there one day. But I'm not there yet. But he has a great channel. His social media links are listed below. So tune into his channel. It's great content. I can't thank you enough for coming on here, man. Please, let's do something again, especially during draft time. I do a lot of draft stuff. So hopefully we can get together again soon here in the near future.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'll reach out to you to try to get you on my preview video. See if you're available.
I would love that. You let me know. You got me on social media, and let's hopefully get together soon. Just to reiterate here, UCF Jaguars says he likes the Chiefs in a close one. We'll go 28-27 with the over-under being 51. He also likes you like the over on this one?
I don't usually look at over-unders. I just think it's because I think spread is one thing where it's like, yeah, but there's situations where, teams, I don't know. I'm not much of I don't really gamble that much. And I just stay away from the over-unders. I tried to do it when I was younger. I was like, oh, over. And I was just like, dang, teams don't score as many points as I thought they do. So
it's pretty tricky. I've gotten beat a couple times just on that hook, the half point. And
there's so much game flow. It's like sometimes in the fourth quarter, teams are just scoring like crazy. And, there's 24 points scored in like the fourth quarter. So
you never know. And I like I said, I haven't followed any of the prop bets either. I knew you were with BetUS. I didn't know about the other one, but I'm going to check that out because I'm going to be back on Fridays. Key says he's going to join me. Keys is withdrawing his life savings to bet on this game. So.
Yeah, man. I mean, if you guys, on Underdog, a lot of fun player prop bets, man. I have a promo code UCF Jag. It doubles your first deposit up to $100, and they have fantasy. I do a lot of. Now that I got a bunch of like best ball drafts in, now I'm looking at player prop bets and they have a whole lot of stuff on there. It's honestly, I didn't really get into player prop bets until this year, but it's actually, I like doing that more than like spreads because like, for example, the Chiefs Lions game, I was like, obviously I wanted the Lions to win because of the AFC, but I was like, let's make this a little more interesting. And I threw some, player stuff on there and it was kind of fun. So. Yeah.
Well, I had, for that game, the only prop bet I would have made is I was buying into the Sky Moore hype, and I thought he would have 100 yards, and he got 0. So,
it wasn't a good day for any receiver.
No, I would have got skunked.
I had Tony in fantasy, and
I
was like Kelsey being out, and look, the targets were there. The targets were there.
Sense. I mean,
the targets were there. The game plan was there. He just
yeah.
I don't know what was going on with him.
I'm still mad at him, but I'm hoping he has a big game Sunday. The Chiefs are still going to use him. He just had a bad game, and I got to get over that. Do you have time for one more question? Or I know. Okay, this final one here. Keys has I'm kind of curious about this one here. I want to hear what your thoughts are. You're the Jets. Who's on your QB want list right now?
What do you mean QB1?
Want list. Who would you want to sign?
Oh, okay. I see. Okay. Golly. Honestly, it depends. Do you want to give up draft picks or do you just want to go out and get Carson Wentz? And honestly, Carson Wentz is probably the best option because I think that he gives you the biggest ceiling. Now it's just all about, can you calm him down? What do you want? Do you want a gunslinger or do you want a check down guy? Do you want you can go get Colt McCoy and you can have a game manager, or you can try to do a lot with a guy like Carson Wentz. I don't know. Honestly, it sucks for them because there's no really great option right now.
No, you stole my thunder. I had Colt McCoy. I think that's a no-brainer. I wouldn't be surprised if he's signed next week. Because
a lot of people mention Gardner Minshew or Jacoby Brissett. Why would they want to give them up? I mean, Gardner Minshew played last week, and you never know how Sam Howell will do. I mean, Jacoby Brissett can lead a team to the playoffs. It's just I think it's a little harder to trade for players than. People aren't just trying to give away their backup quarterbacks.
No, absolutely picks, not. And that's why I would have signed. We just said his name, and I already forgot.
Colt McCoy or Carson Wentz.
Colt McCoy would be the guy I would want instantly. I have no idea why Arizona let him go. It kind of feels like the tank for Tua thing in Arizona, but. Colt McCoy, I would say you have to sign him, and you give Zach Wilson a legitimate chance to see if he lives up that potential. He earned being the second best quarterback in that draft. Like I said, I thought I had Justin Fields going to the Jets instead, but hey, I'm also the same guy didn't want Mahomes, so what the hell do I know? But
there you go.
Yeah, but I would have signed Colt McCoy because look at the defense, look at the running backs. I mean, you don't need to put up 40. To win if you're the Jets. So get a guy, get a guy who knows an offense and is intelligent enough. Just basics. Yeah, follow UCF Jaguar on Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called here. He also does a lot of stuff on Discord. That's something I haven't gotten involved with in Discord. That's why I didn't promote your Discord. Would he still have it close if Travis Chris doesn't play? That's a good question. If Travis, let me ask you this: Travis Kelce and Chris Jones doesn't play, or they're not 100%. Are you picking a Jags victory because you have the Jags covering 3 but not winning?
Yeah. All right. Last question. I do have to pick up my wife.
All right. This will be the last one here.
Yeah. It's gonna be tough. I hope Travis doesn't play. Chris Jones, great player. I don't know if he's in football shape right now, but it's obviously gonna be a lot tough. I'm more scared about Travis Kelce, if I'm being honest with you.
Well, he should be. 14 catches, a playoff record last year, and you guys. I remember Peterson flat out saying, "Hey, we got to do something here about this guy." And then when Mahomes goes down, the very first play, they went right to Kelce. He had the ball. I think it was inside the 5, and to get out, you went right to Kelce. It was Chad Henne. That would actually be really interesting. But guys, listen, if you haven't yet, follow UCF Jaguar. Subscribe to his channel. It's some really great content. UCF Jaguar, I cannot thank you enough for coming on my show. I hope that you come on again. I would love to come on your show. Huge fan of yours for a long time. I'm glad I'm finally able to get you on. So I'm tickled pink here. Thanks for coming on. I won't hold you up any longer, man.
Yeah, man. Good luck on Sunday. Go Jags.
All right. Good luck Sunday. UCF Jaguar, everybody. Really, I geeked out. Really excited about having him here. Thanks to him, I started doing the live streams, and I knew he had to bet US. I wasn't aware about the other one that he had, but I'm hoping to get those associations myself because I do a lot of sports betting, but just not this year. No more sports betting this year. I do send me this article because I didn't know about it. So the Pat Fitzgerald stuff, I don't know if you guys have heard about the Pat Fitzgerald stuff. I have a hard time believing the Pat Fitzgerald stuff was true. And originally they suspended him 2 weeks, then he was fired. But yeah, I know Keys doesn't bet. Yeah, send me that stuff. By the way, all my social media links are below, and my weekly picks videos are available. I'm going to read some comments, and by the way, the picks video is below, but because you tuned in, I'm going to give you my score prediction. Here, I'm just going to read some comments. Chiefs are going to be fine, in my opinion. I hope so, but this is a big game because if we don't win this game, we're not going to catch Jacksonville. Their schedule is very favorable. That is a really good young football team that is just ascending. There's no ceiling how good Jacksonville can be. There really isn't. Keys, you nailed this perfectly. I like Tony's athleticism. Man, I'm struggling with this mental, emotional makeup. That was the issue that the Giants had with him, and that seemed to be the issue that he has here. He just didn't seem prepared for the game. He really didn't seem like he was ready to go. He didn't seem like he knew was focused. And anytime I see a player drop passes, that's a problem I have. Chad Henne is the name. Okay. Same mentality. Oh God, I forgot about Eric Ebron. I remember coming out of college, I was blown away with his athleticism. So Flacco, I forgot. Flacco, I remember that didn't he beat, he beat Cleveland with that last minute shit, and they didn't want him. That would actually be a good pickup. Dalton, Shane Falk. Gooch. I got the talent in the house, man. I got the I'm trying to think. It's the B of the back, so I got the B and the K here. So I'm getting D-teamed by the back talk boys here, man. And I really wish you guys would start making some more content and stuff. But I get it, and I'm glad you like the shiny head, man. Kansas City's D looked pretty decent considering without Jones. Yeah, I really, really, really like the defense. I'm going to say this here: the Lions had a great game plan, and they really kept the Chiefs off balance on those touchdown drives. But I thought McDuffie had a great strip, or forced fumble. Wasn't really a strip, but it had a good forced fumble. I was pretty happy overall with the defense. When you lose your best player, but yeah, with Jones, it'll be interesting how much he's ready to play, and it'll be interesting to see how much Travis Kelce. But if we lose to Jacksonville, we're not going to catch up 3 games. I mean, I seriously think Jacksonville could be a 13 to 15 win team. I mean, that's a really good football team. God, and everybody leave the. UCF Jaguar has a great show, and I've been a huge fan of his. I actually messaged him months ago, and I've been messaging him on a regular basis over the last couple months of getting, hey, are you coming on? Make sure you come on. Make sure you come on. And I'm just over the moon that he came on, talked some football here, and hopefully I will be on his show soon. I haven't gotten an invite yet. We don't need to catch up to the Jags, so just got to get a ticket to the dance. I get that. If nobody wants to play the Chiefs in the playoffs, and when the Patriots had their 7-game conference home title game broken, it was broken by the Chiefs. And New England comes to Arrowhead and beats the Chiefs in Arrowhead in the AFC Conference Championship game. Can the Chiefs do that? Sure, absolutely they can. Do I want to keep an all-time great streak together? Yeah. Do I think the Chiefs in January have an advantage? Yes, I do. Can we beat Jacksonville on the road in the playoffs? If we lose, it's possible, but I don't want to find out. The thing is, though, I don't want to play Jacksonville in Jacksonville for the playoffs. I don't want to deal with that. I'd much rather it be here at Arrowhead. But this is a very, very, very good football team. This is a very, very good football team. This year is kind of a mini rebuild year. I think everyone was expecting last year. It's kind of funny because I'm expecting that next year because I think Travis Kelce and Chris Jones could both be gone after the year. And I think with Travis Kelce is that his brother's going to retire. They have the big YouTube channel, and I can see them just kind of riding off into the sunset and doing their own thing, kind of retiring. I think Chris Jones after the year could be gone. I think next year could be kind of a mini rebuild. And I think sooner or later you have to prepare for the loss of Kelce. And that's what we've been doing with trying to get receivers in here. I think the plan was to try and re-sign Juju Smith-Schuster, but I also think that it was kind of a red shirt year for Sky Moore. I think Chiefs had big plans for Sky Moore. Rashee Rice is a guy that I also really like. They really got to take a step up. I don't know the reason why he wasn't targeted more. Sky Moore wasn't, but that does bother me. The focus is getting units in sync, greatly improving, making the playoffs on maximizing player development is the goal, in my opinion. Absolutely. I mean, take a look at some of the moves Philly's done. I mean, Philly's already got Kelce's Kelce's replacement and Fletcher Cox's replacement and Brandon Graham's replacement. They're ready to go. The Eagles are in good shape, and hopefully Kansas City will be there as well. So I'm going to check that out because I didn't know about it. I really didn't. I apologize. And by the way, this is why you want to follow me on social media. But I want to see it. They play up to their abilities. They're going to be yeah. Jacksonville's a loaded team, man. And then with Jacksonville, that front seven is young and really, really fast. They got a lot of potential. I don't think they're there yet. But a lot of potential. And I'll give you CJ. I've been saying that for a while. I wasn't sure. I don't think he is, man. I don't think he is. I think he's going to be gone. I thought they should have entertained offers before the draft, and that was just kind of my opinion because this was a deep edge rusher class, and we could have gone in a couple different directions. By the way, FAU looks like he's going to be a player, and he's a guy I could say I was wrong on. And this draft class, if FAU pans out, and Rashee Rice, the 4th round pick out of Virginia Tech, is a guy that's been turning some heads. But yeah, I'm not sure he's in that plan. And the reason why is that it looks like they're going with more of a 3-4 type of defense. And the reason why you want to do that is it's just cheaper. Is it cheaper to pay? It's cheaper when you have multiple guys that are okay on that front seven. Yeah. Then they have 1 or 2 real big studs. And I think the Chiefs were like, okay, we're going to have Chris Jones and we're going to have Frank Clark and with a bunch of different guys. Okay, well, Frank Clark really didn't pan out. So we got Chris Jones and we're just going to keep adding younger guys. And then the guy on the front seven, well, you have Nick Bolton. We got to sign him. And then I think even though he didn't have a sack, Karlaftis played really, really well. So Tim says, great show, bro. It's my oh my God, I forgot. Tim, I'm sorry, man. It is your birthday. Just I need to cap off the night. Tim, happy birthday, brother, man. Dude, I'm sorry, man. I don't know why I don't have this program on my phone, but we still have Reed. I hate to say this, but Tony showed red flags and maturity at Florida. If anyone can give him the next level, it's Andy. Yeah, he had maturity issues at Florida. He had a lot of issues with the Giants, injured and him and Dable really clashed, and a lot of it had to do. Dable drafted they drafted Wendell Robinson, who's like a Tony Light guy in the draft. That rubbed him the wrong way, and it shouldn't. You bring in a guy, you should be like, okay, well, hey, look, I got to just focus on me. He didn't pick up his playbook. He was the last player of the Giants to pick up his playbook. That's also another red flag. And then Kansas City had issues staying healthy. That was in the preseason. But yeah, there's red flags. And he may be a guy that's not part of the Chiefs' future. If this was an aberration and he plays well next week and in the next games, then he's part of the future. He may also be a guy that we just may shuffle off. So I don't think Kansas City was going to offer Juju more than the vet minimum. I think they saw the knee from a mile away. I can see that too. I really like Juju, and I was hoping that he'd want to stay in. He didn't have a terrible game with New England, but it looks like New England last week. New England's offense looked kind of stuck, but I think I kind of agree with you. But if his knee was okay, I think the Chiefs would have pushed. They may have lost out, but I think they would have pushed. So Gator, we got an aging Gator and CGJ, yeah. Seems, you know what, I normally don't watch anything not football related, but just a few days ago I got Netflix, and I don't want to watch that quarterback show, but they have a documentary on the Gators, and I saved that. I'll probably watch that in the next couple of days. Normally I just try to watch as much football as I can during football season, but every now and then I just got to decompress and watch something that's not football. And anyway, I have something called Plex, but it wasn't working right. And there was a TV show I really wanted to watch. I knew it was on Netflix, and I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to buy Netflix for a month or two and watch some TV shows, but that's going to end soon. But yeah, I'm going to watch that quarterback special and then the Florida documentary. I can't wait to see that. Cool. Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Wasn't it Juju? Yeah. And there was something on Twitter saying that Patriots are really concerned about his knee as well. And it's kind of sad because Chiefs fans, it was kind of known in Chiefs Kingdom. Now it's being said nationally that you have no idea what's going on. Yeah. By the way, that was so much fun to watch. Sad. It's oh God, I hate. You know what? I don't know if we should go into CNN or not. Like I'm not a fan. Not Gardner Johnson Keith. Definitely has some mature. Yeah. Meanwhile, Myers looked good for the Raiders. He was the tight end that was drafted out of Notre Dame. Is that the guy you're talking about? Oh, Jacoby Myers you're talking about. Amazement! What's up, brother? Hey, yeah. So I got it saved on my playlist. I literally just signed up for it, and I don't watch during football season. I usually just watch football, but every now and then it's just look, I just gotta shut my brain down. I gotta watch some other stuff. And I tuned into Netflix to watch something completely different. I saw Swamp King, so I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch this. Love Tim Tebow. Tim Tebow may have been like, I've seen a lot of things calling Tim Tebow the greatest college quarterback of all time. And I don't know. I did pretty good. Check out my video below. I have it documented, but I went 12-4 straight up and 9-7 against the spread. So that I did pretty good. I don't know, man. Pat Fitzgerald. I don't know if you heard the story about Pat Fitzgerald, but some of the hazing that they were doing, I don't even know if I should say it on YouTube, but if the stories are true. So when I heard about the hazing at Northwestern, I didn't think it was true. I was like, no, I'm not buying that. Amazement, did you have you know what? I have it saved on the other show. I have it starred, and I think I can get back to it. I think were you the one that had the 6 bets and then you had the Derrick Henry rushing yards? So Mark Antonio, that's a good coach, man. I'd argue crackhead Johnny Manziel is. Johnny Manziel is one of the greatest college quarterbacks who ever lived. He really is. He's a lot of fun to watch. It's crazy. I got my survivor pick right now with Washington. I'm drawing a complete blank, and I know I picked that game, but I'm just drawing a complete blank. I'm so sorry. I'm drawing a complete blank. Okay, hold on here. I'm looking at the wrong thing. Yeah, Washington this week. There's a few other I like better, but I don't hate that. I don't hate that one. There's a few others I like more. There's a few others I like more, but yeah. I need to jump on the Cowboys Jet spread. Yeah, my video it was at 7.5. It's just going up. It'll probably hit 10. If you haven't bet on the Jets Cowboys already, you might be too late. But when I released the video 7.5. Now I use DraftKings, so you could probably look around, but that number is probably going to be 10 come game time. And I really think the Cowboys are just going to beat shit out of them. I do like the under though. Okay, it wasn't you. It was somebody. It might have been somebody else. Missed one prop bet with Godwin. I thought we'd go over on his yards. It's really weird because I didn't get a chance to see Tampa Bay and Minnesota, but I saw Minnesota had all these passing yards, and I'm like, okay, but the score is close. And I remember me and my dad were like, man, Bucks won that one in Minnesota. Damn. He had so many problems in the NFL. Yeah. Manziel was so much fun to watch, but one of the things about Johnny Manziel is that, like, I think 40% of that Heisman deserved to go to Mike Evans. Mike Evans bailed him out of so many. He had another guy besides Evans that was also really, really good, but Mike Evans was just so dominant in the combination of those two guys. But without Mike Evans, I'm not sure he wins a Heisman without Mike Evans. I'm not sure he does. Evans did some really good shit. Last week I took, okay. I thought I apologize because the way I read it is I thought you were taking Denver. If you have Washington beating Denver, I'd be very, 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 very careful because I could see Denver winning that game. Okay, so let me give you my number one team. It would probably be Dallas, but the number one team I have is Buffalo. The Raiders come to town. It's an early game, so it's a West Coast team traveling to the East Coast. And keep in mind, San Francisco had no problems. I really think that Buffalo, that team is going to be pissed. I would probably go Buffalo number one. I would go Dallas number two. I would go Giants number three. I would go those three. Anything else, I like the Saints at Carolina, but I'm higher on the Saints than most people. So Ryan Swoop, something like it was somebody really good. But Evans, oh God, Evans was amazing. Mike Evans, oh my God, Mike Evans was so good. Now Denver, I took water. Yeah, that was smart. He was doing thing under the counter in coordinate. It was funny. I remember Sports Illustrated had an article about him at a country club, and he was just drinking. I forget what it was, gin and tonic or whatever. And I was doing the age check, and I was like, he's not even 21, and he's just at a golf course just slamming drinks. And his dad owned a car dealership. There's a coach that says you never want to recruit a player who lives in a three car garage because you know that when times get tough, he's not going to put the work in. Johnny Manziel was different. He was one of those guys, just really special, fun player to watch in college. And it was funny when the draft was coming, he was dropping in the draft. I thought the Chiefs were going to draft him, and I was kind of excited about it at the time, but Cleveland jumped up ahead, and I thought that was a terrible spot because that team had no talent. I forget who was the coach at the time, but I didn't think it would work. I thought maybe in Kansas City it might work out, but I think hindsight, I think the Chiefs knew better. But yeah, Dallas and Buffalo. I was thinking. Sorry about the confusion. I took Washington. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Washington week 1. Okay, that was smart. That would probably have been my pick. Probably Washington would have been my pick. Buffalo and Dallas, I don't think you can go wrong with either of those. The Giants, I also like quite a bit. It's at Arizona, but that's kind of my thought process there. He wouldn't be bad in Miami. We talking Johnny Manziel, or are we doing something? Kadarius Toney. Tell you the truth, they're so loaded at receiver. That was a fun game. I only watched the red zone version, but Chargers Miami was such a fun game. Biggest surprise in week 1, Cincy, Minnesota. I actually called Cleveland, believe it or not. Minnesota to me. Detroit was a big surprise to me. But after Detroit, Minnesota was a big surprise. I'll level with you. I was kind of surprised Arizona kept it close. Seattle's a surprise. Oh, Johnny Football would be good at Fins. I don't think he had the work ethic to be an NFL quarterback. I just don't. And when the drinking article that came out while he was in college, and it doesn't matter how athletically gifted you are. It doesn't matter how athletically gifted you are. You can't succeed in the NFL without doing a lot of work. A lot of work. You underestimate? Yeah, I did. I kind of had you guys 9-10 win team. I had the Chiefs much higher. So biggest surprise, San Francisco. You know what? That is a big one because I had the Steelers. The Steelers were Steelers were about. You know what? Hold on. I think I got my point spread still pulled up from week 1. I kept track of everything. But Pittsburgh was a 2.5 point dog, and San Francisco just beat the shit out of them. San Francisco just had the shit beat out of them. So, you know what? God, I messed up on this. I was actually 11-5 last week. No, okay, no, I'm okay. No, I was right. Okay, I thought I messed up, and no, I was 12-4 last week straight up, 9-7 against the spread. So San Francisco did a really good job, but Pittsburgh was a 2.5 point dog. Minnesota was a 6 point favorite, and I saw the clips early on. I was like, oh, Minnesota's just gonna run away with this one, and for some reason they didn't, and that's a game I'd really like to watch, but it looks like they're really missing Dalvin Cook. Obviously, Minnesota, no surprise. I called that one, Dan. I thought the game would be close, but we pulled it out. He underestimated. Yeah, I did. I thought I actually liked Minnesota to win by a couple touchdowns. They're tough at home. They really are. We are 12-11 win team. I could see that. You may be higher than 12. I think the NFC is weaker than the AFC, but there's a few teams in the NFC I would like. The NFC. Here's the thing, though. I think Philly and Dallas are maybe the two best teams in the NFC, and they're in the same division. So if Minnesota's not that good, Green Bay was impressive, but I don't know about like Chicago. That may just be a disaster. So yeah, it is. When you're a West Coast team and you play an early game on the East Coast, it's really it is a challenge. And for them to just be dominant against a team that I thought would be a lot better says a lot. It really does. And right now, like power rankings, everybody has them at number 1. But I'm still not sold on San Francisco. I never liked Johnny Football. In college he was fun to watch. I wasn't sure. I really wasn't sure if he would succeed in the NFL. But if you talk about all-time great college quarterbacks, yeah. Swamp Kings was good, Dan. I was very upset when Urban Meyer left us, but the way it went down, I completely understood. The way I understood it, and I haven't watched it yet, but if I remember correctly, Urban Meyer stepped down due to health issues, and then he was doing TV, and he waited a while because he wanted to write NFL team. And Jacksonville at the time, he took Jacksonville because he was getting draft picks, plus he was getting Trevor Lawrence. And to be honest with you, it really looked like the Urban Meyer thing would succeed before training camp, because as soon as preseason started, it didn't seem like it would mesh, but I thought it would. I can't wait to watch it, though. I can't wait, because like the advertisement is the Major Wright. It's like Major Wright talking about, honestly, it looks like a cheap shot that he took, but I kind of forgot about how good that team was. And it's kind of funny because as good as the Urban Meyer Gators teams were, I will always believe that University of Florida liked Spurrier better. I mean, afterwards, it's hard to say, but even when they won that national championship with Tebow, I really thought that if Florida could choose between Danny Werfel and Spurrier, or they can go with Meyer and Tim Tebow, I really felt like they would have gone with Danny Werfel. Like that team, those Florida teams in the 90s were so much fun. Bears did look awful. Green Bay looked kind of impressive. They really looked impressive. That front seven's got a lot of speed and athleticism. They got some players in the secondary. I think offensively, Green Bay is going to be a shaky team, but I know they scored one defensive touchdown. Lucas Van Ness, I know, had a really good open field sack on Justin Fields, where Fields just wanted to run the whole game. The Packers might be a team that people may need to look at and say, watch out, because that front seven, that defense looked good. The Bears could be really bad. They didn't cover all the extra drama that went down in Gainesville with our team. A few stories they touched, but it was a lot more Urban had to deal with. Crazy intense of the practices and training. There's a lot of stories about intense practices. One of my favorite NFL 30 for 30s, and I've watched it several times, and I love it, is the Pony Excess. And Ron Meyer, who was the coach of the Pony Excess, he said that practice was so hard and the talent was so high that they decided to use the first couple games of the season as preseason games because he didn't want his team scrimmaging against each other. And I thought that was kind of crazy. But the SMU, if you ever watch that, like, SMU had insane talent. The Pony Excess, of all the 30 for 30 specials I've seen, the Pony Excess is my favorite. It's really, really, really good. And there was a lot of stories. Like, there was stories about there was a weird story about Urban Hernandez and I'm sorry, Aaron Hernandez. I forget where it was, but like some guy claimed it like he was his gay boyfriend. It was kind of goofy. I didn't have a chance to watch any of the full games. I only got to see the highlights. I really wanted to touch more on base with the performance against the Colts, but UCF Jaguar, before he came on, he's like, "Hey Dan, listen, I thought I was going to have some more time. I can only be here for an hour," and so I tried to go through the questions kind of rapid fire, but I wanted to talk more about the Colts and the Jags, but it sounds like the plan they have for Anthony Richardson's a good plan, and I have no idea what Atlanta and Carolina did. Now, Atlanta spent a lot of money in free agency on defense. If the defense is solid, that's going to be a scary team. Throwing CJ Stroud against the Ravens, I mean, what'd you expect? I mean, it's really hard, in my opinion, to ask CJ Stroud to have a lot of success against the Baltimore Ravens. But he might have actually played really well, to be honest with you. I haven't had a chance to watch that game yet. But it makes a lot of sense for CJ Stroud to struggle. Bryce Young probably should have looked better, but Atlanta is a team spent a lot of money on defense and free agency, so maybe they're getting their money's worth. And Richardson, like I said, it sounds like they had a bright plan for Richardson against Jacksonville, running a college type of offense. So Eberflus feels like Patricia, because I'm seeing a lot of Bears fans pissed after not letting Fields throw the football after his pick. That's pretty bad. I watched a lot of that game, and it really seemed like Fields doesn't feel comfortable in the offense. It looks like he's doing the same thing he did at Ohio State, which is 1-2 run, and it looked like the same offense. It doesn't really look like he knows what he's doing. it might be some problems. And, it seriously, what might be the deal is after the season's over, they may bring a new head coach and they may say, hey, look, we got all these quarterbacks coming out. Let's just get a rookie and move on from Justin Fields. Does somebody give us a fourth? And that might be the situation that we're going to look at, because as of right now, it looks like there's going to be a lot of really good quarterbacks coming out. So I thought Richardson looked good at times. Young, yeah, I got to watch all those games. I really want to watch Jacksonville, Indianapolis. I kind of want to see what I see in Jacksonville. I want to pay attention to the offensive line, but yeah. Swamp Kings was great. Glossed over the Hernandez story, but it was good. Volunteers coming to Swamp this week. Gator bait, baby. That's actually going to be a good game. It's funny. I have Alabama, Texas on DVR, and I haven't had a chance to watch it. I haven't watched it at all. Yeah, they did Denver to Cam story. Yeah, I was kind of, yeah. So here's the deal. Okay, that's sort of kind of true. So Cam was on the Florida team, and he was a really, really high recruit. And the story was his dad was involved in some shady under the whatever you want to call it, under the table type of deals. And Florida was more than happy. But he wasn't locked in to be the number 2 guy, believe it or not. Most people just assume that. I think there were some issues with Urban Meyer and Cam, but he wasn't locked in to get that number 2. But it looked like he was going to. So I really like our running backs at Denver Gator. Hopefully they're a part of our game plan this week against the Vols. I hope with Texas beating Alabama, it's going to be very, very interesting. How do you feel about Josh Allen? Does he miss Stable? Looks like he took a step back. It looks like he took a step back last year. Not a big step. I mean, he's still an elite quarterback, but he did take a step back. And I didn't like the offensive game plan against the Jets, having him be a running back. I didn't like that. It looks like they were really trying to force I can't believe I'm having a brain freeze here. Diggs. I can't believe I couldn't remember his name. It really looked like they were trying to force the ball to Stephon Diggs. I kept on hearing Dalton Kincaid mentioned. I didn't see him used as much as I thought he would. Gabriel Davis had 1 or 2 good plays. The one interception was just fine. That was basically a punt. You got the Jets inside the 5 with a backup quarterback. I'd take that interception any day of the week. The other 2 interceptions were really bad throws. I do think he misses Dable. And we talked about this with Denver Gator. When you have a good quarterback head coach combination, you can really go far. And I think Sean McDermott's a guy that is a defensive minded coach. From Andy Reid coaching tree, and he's done a great job in Buffalo. Give the guy a lot of credit, but you have to wonder if the development with Josh Allen, did it peak and he's going down? That's kind of what I'm thinking personally. He's going to play. That Jets defense is good. I mean, let's get something clear right now. I mean, that's good. He's going to have some really good days, but yeah, it does seem like he took a step back. I'll be honest. I would take Justin Herbert and Trevor Lawrence over Josh Allen. Hell, I wouldn't mind the Lions snagging one of those quarterbacks. It'll be very interesting what the Lions do, because I think Bridgewater's only here for this year, and then what are the plans going to be for Hendon Hooker? Because it wouldn't surprise me if you have a second round pick. If you're the Detroit Lions, you have a second round pick. It's going to be a late second round pick. Let's just say, for fun, 56. All right. If you get a quarterback at 56 that you like, it wouldn't surprise me. And what you may do is you could actually move on from Hendon Hooker, because a lot of people thought that he had a first round grade. There could be a team out there, like, I don't know, maybe the Jets, that want to say, hey, look, we know Zach Wilson's not the guy. What about somebody like Hendon Hooker? Hendon Hooker is a guy that there could be some teams. Teddy Bridgewater's another guy. Seriously, if you're the Jets right now, who has a better chance of helping you win this year right now? Zach Wilson or Teddy Bridgewater? I would say it's Bridgewater, but not saying this is a homer, but I think the Vols are in for a surprise. Haven't won in the swamp since 2003. They could be. I haven't had a chance to watch either team play, but that's a game I could see Florida winning. And not a homer, says Denver Gator. So many good quarterbacks. Yeah, there's a lot of good quarterbacks. Love me some Jordan Davis from FSU. Oh, God. Jordan Travis. Jordan Travis, Shakir Sanders out of Colorado, who I think is going to win the Heisman. I really do. I think they're going to win the Heisman. Yeah, Shadir Sanders could come out in the first round. Alex Van Dyke is a guy that could go in the first. Alex Van Dyke's got an NFL skill set. He's built like Trevor Lawrence, got a big time arm. Not the athlete, but he's got the arm. So, should the Jets pick up a quarterback or let Wilson run the show? I think maybe grabbing another quarterback off another team like a Heineke or Cooper Rush, since Dallas already has Lance. That's going to be $1 million question, because here's a guy who's the number 2 pick overall. Here's a guy who has so much talent. And dude, Zach Wilson has a lot of talent. You even saw it against the Bills, but you also saw the things like he had that one really bad interception. And he's a guy, I think, that's always going to make bad picks. And he's always going to have some bad reads, but you can also see talent. Robert Saleh is always going to be a defensive-minded guy, so I think a guy like Zach Wilson just doesn't mesh with Robert Saleh. I think Robert Saleh would rather have a guy with a high floor, low ceiling than Zach Wilson, who's low floor, high ceiling. And I think a guy like Bridgewater, Colt McCoy, I think all those guys. But if you're the Jets, do you really, really want to give up a draft pick? Do you really want to give up the draft pick? Because if Wilson's not your guy and you have Aaron Rodgers coming back next year, and to be honest, that's a very, very big question. You may just want to save that draft capital for this year's draft. And Sauce got cooked a little bit. Yeah, it's kind of funny because for the last several years, the best corner in football has almost changed. I think Sauce Gardner was the best corner in football last year. I think he was that good. He didn't play that good last week or Monday night. He didn't play that well. He really didn't. The Jets defense is very, very, very good, but Sauce didn't look great. All right, Pagan, Shadir Sanders is a first rounder. If he stays for another year, he can possibly be the first pick in the 2025 draft. I think he's going to win the Heisman this year. And I think that what's going to happen is, I'll be honest with you. If you're a quarterback, I don't think you really want to go number 1. I really don't, because where are you going to go? You're going to go to a bad team. You're better off going into a situation where you can go somewhere in the middle of the pack, where you go to a team with some talent, like Patrick Mahomes being drafted 10th overall. You had a team like Kansas City who traded up. If I'm a quarterback coming out, I don't want to go to Arizona. Let's just say Arizona right now is the number 1 team. I don't want to go to Arizona. People were talking before the season about Tampa Bay. Now, I know they won, but what about Tampa Bay? Because Baker Mayfield's only on a one-year deal. If they lose Mike Evans, do you really want to go to Tampa Bay? What about Minnesota? Like that's a team I would kind of want to go to, and they're not going to be a terrible team. But let's say Minnesota goes 9-8, misses the playoffs, and I'm Shadir Sanders. And I'm like, you know what? I had a really good meeting with the Vikings, and they're going to move from, 18 to 8 or whatever. Yeah, I would do that. Maybe he does want to be the number 1 pick in the draft. Who knows? And here's another thing is that his dad, who's his head coach, maybe saying, hey, look, we're going to be fine. I got this guy, this guy, this guy. Or his dad may say, you know what? So-and-so's going to Notre Dame. So-and-so's going. USC's backup, they're saying he could start for almost any other team in the country. And I don't know the kid's name. So if Dion recruits like a 5-star quarterback, or if he's able to talk Arch Manning into coming over from Colorado or whatever, that's going to have a lot to do with it. But I think Shadir Sanders, I'm going to say right now, I think he's going to win Heisman this year. I really do. And I think he could be a first-round talent. You know, seriously, I think Hendon Hooker is the plan to be the number 2 guy next year. You got Bridgewater on a 1-year rental, and if I'm Detroit, I'm saying, hey, how good is Hendon Hooker? Because can we move Bridgewater and maybe get a third? I mean, there is some good quarterbacks. Pendix, yeah, the Washington quarterback. I haven't even talked about him. Yeah. He's going to cook us something really bad next week. Ben DiNucci available for the Jets. I didn't even know about him. Mix from Oregon. I forgot about Ben. I think he has the potential to be a first round quarterback. Drake May is really good. Bo Nix. I like Bo Nix. He's got talent. I don't know if he's an NFL quarterback, but I know when he was at Auburn, his arm mechanics and throwing was god awful, but he had size and athleticism. Reminded me of Tim Tebow, but just a god awful all throwing motion. He went to Oregon, really started to play better. Yeah, he's decent. He'll get a chance to improve his stock. There's a lot of, it'll be interesting. Penix Jr. for Washington will be a Heisman. He is. Good example, Caleb Williams. He doesn't want to go to Zona. I'm hearing Caleb, and that's a possibility. But I'm gonna tell you this. I've been talking to Corey, aka the Red Sea, and the plan I think for Arizona is that because they have the Houston Texans first and third round draft pick. And they also have the 5th round draft pick from Philly. And I think they got another draft pick. So, like, they're loaded. I think what the plan is, they want to trade that the highest first round pick that's going to be a quarterback because they want Kyler Murray to be the guy. They want to trade that draft pick and just load up with draft picks. And they're going to just load up because this is a good quarterback draft. They're just going to get like 3 or 4 really good players. Look what Jacksonville did. They had the number 1 pick in the draft. They get a couple draft picks. They go to the playoffs. The Jets didn't go to the playoffs last year, but they had 3 number 1 picks, and they used all those draft picks. Now they're a team that, you know, before the Rodgers injury was a favorite to go to the playoffs. So. Arkansas quarterback 2 Jefferson. I thought he was coming out last year. No, I know he was a sophomore. I'm not high on Jefferson in the NFL. I think he'll have to switch positions to play in the NFL, but he's fun to watch. If Caleb stays in another year, he'll be great. You know what? If he stays one more year, and they keep adding talent, and he could win 2 Heismans. I really do. One thing about the Heisman voting committee, they like that a new player wins the Heisman each year. So Rams beating Seattle was kind of a surprise, especially with the injuries the Rams had. Yeah, I agree with that. I watched that game. The Rams looked much improved. I had Big Chief Sean on the show a while back, and he thought the Rams would be a playoff team. He goes, you watch out, the Rams are going to be a good team. And I kind of snickered, but they added a bunch of young talent. And look, you still got Aaron Donald. Cooper Kupp didn't even play, and Stafford's still really, really good. If they can hover around 500 and get to the playoffs healthy with Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, and Stafford, they can hang with anybody. They really can. Seattle maybe should get a quarterback too if Geno doesn't play like he did last year. He signed. So here's the deal: Geno Smith. This was kind of smart what Seattle did. They signed him to a 3-year deal, right? So it's this year. Next year, which would be year 2, is when you draft your quarterback, and then year 3, it's either you get rid of Geno or Geno plays and this guy just isn't ready. But more than likely, what happens is year 2, you would play Geno and have your backup unless you're really bad and you get the number 1 pick. By the way, if Geno doesn't work out, you have to look at Seattle, who had the 5th and 20th pick in the draft, and you have to say, why didn't you get a quarterback? But I don't think they will. But if you had to say who's going to be the worst, who's going to have the number 1 pick in the draft, I would tell you it's going to be Arizona. So guys, I'm going to wrap up here. I can't thank UCF Jaguar enough. I literally messaged him after the 4th of July. I was so excited to get him on here. Hopefully he will want to come on again. I'm a big fan of his. So it was really a big treat for me to have him on here. Don't forget, I will be live Friday, and I have a special treat for you guys on Friday. I'm going to have Keys from the Back Talk Brothers. He's going to join me. He actually took his life savings out, and he's going to bet it this week on football, and he's going to give you his picks on Friday. So you don't want to miss Friday's show. I think our games at the NFC North bear huge, since it may be 3 teams that get in the playoffs from that division. I don't see any other division getting more than 2 in the NFC. Yeah, I could see that. I would say maybe the NFC East, even though the Giants looked bad and Washington didn't look impressive, but Dallas and Philly will get in. I think there's a big difference between the AFC and the NFC. I really do. But if you had to say the 2 best teams in the NFC, I think are right now in the NFC East, and Detroit looked really impressive, and so did San Francisco. So, but the thing is with Tampa Bay, I really do. I think if you can hover around 8-9 wins, you got a chance to get into the playoffs. And one thing is about once you get in, you never know. One thing about Tampa Bay, I don't think you're going to win the division, but here's the drill. You can add running backs via free agency. Matter of fact, I would kind of, I'd make a phone call about Jonathan Taylor because you need some help at running back, but you have some good receivers. Baker Mayfield can win you some games, but if that defense continues to play really well, I mean, you gave a lot of passing yards, but almost no rushing yards, and you held Minnesota to 17 points. They were one of the best offenses in football. You hold teams to 17 points, you got a chance to get into the playoffs. Teams don't want to play in the playoffs against teams with a really good defense, and Tampa Bay could have that. So, all right, guys, social media links, check them out. Check out my video for my week 2 picks. I'll have Keys on Friday. Have a great week. I'll see you back on Friday.